I'm Herb May. I am the Director of Corporate Partnerships for the Houston Outlaws within the Overwatch League. I've been in the role for probably going on 3 or so months now. My job is, I like to say in simple terms, is to bring any sort of partnership, conversation, sponsorship, relationship that advances our business forward. But if you ask my boss, it's driving revenue. So, and that comes in the forms of strategic partnerships to corporate partnerships to sponsorships, a multitude of different things. But I'd probably say in the grand scheme of things, it's revenue. I am not native to the esports industry. I started in traditional sports. I had a pretty long, I like to say long career, just because I think that internships count for anyone's career. So I've been working in sports throughout all of my internships throughout college and even before college, and spent my first 3 years out of school in the NFL. And after 2.5 years of doing that, I was actually laid off from that role, but I had been looking at esports for such a long time. And the timing was just perfect. And I picked up a small consulting role in Atlanta. I spent some time with an esports facility in downtown Atlanta. And then I went and spent some time in financial services with kind of an esports emphasis with Round Hill Investments up in New York. And then Beasley Media Group gave me a call kind of right around Christmas about exploring coming down and working for them. 2017 is when I really started to think I could make an impact in the industry, and it was really after my first dream hack in Atlanta, Georgia. I really was like, this is something I want to be a part of. The energy in the room and the entire thing was just kind of it was mesmerizing, and it just became something that I truly set a goal for myself and something I wanted to be. And I actually discovered Hitmarker pretty early on in the process, as I was still working for the NFL, but I needed to understand what kind of jobs, what type of opportunities were out there. And I actually have always used job boards myself as a seller to prospect, obviously to look for jobs, but also to network, because they're such, I think job boards are such broader tools than just finding a job, because for a seller, it's also where you can see who's spending. So Hitmarker is where I spent all of my time, I guess, since two Novembers ago. I'm really bad with the years when all this started, but 2 Novembers ago is probably when I really leaned in to Hitmarker, finding jobs, networking, getting a sense of what companies are even out there, and there are a lot. So that was a constant back and forth between Hitmarker, and then, as a lot of people know, I do a lot of my damage on LinkedIn. So find a job, go prospect that company, find 5 or 6 people for that company, send messages. I'd love to set up some time. I'd love to learn about what you do. I'd love to learn about your role. And then I did that for hours on end as I was trying to kind of get my foot in the door. LinkedIn is a platform that I've been using since 2014, but I really didn't start leaning in on it until after my time with the NFL. I had pitched an idea to use the LinkedIn platform to sell Super Bowl tickets, which was inevitably kind of shot down just because it's tricky to do content with the NFL on any sort of capacity. But it was really right after I got laid off, and I was getting a lot of no's when trying to get into the esports industry. A lot of people just weren't looking for somebody who didn't have experience in the industry, which I understood. But I was like, okay, then I'm not going to sit here and just kind of wait around. I'm just going to start putting out content. I'm just going to start putting my face out there. I want people to know that I'm here and I'm trying to break in, and I want an opportunity. I don't care how big or how small. So I applied for LinkedIn Live, and I just started doing selfie videos. And I'm not going to say I have like the biggest following on LinkedIn, but I certainly built a finite one of people that were supportive, and the networking started to grow. And if you're searching for a job, I truly think that there is no more powerful platform on the planet for our generation than LinkedIn. And if you don't know how to use it, which is what I spend a lot of my time kind of educating on, is young college rising graduates, even kids in high school, like you need to have one, and you need to know how to use it, and you need to know how to use it well, because in this digital age, it's just so easy to apply to jobs. your virtual application, or even applying on a Hitmarker. While it's such a tool, it's such a really impressive tool. Like in this day and age, sometimes it's just not enough to apply to something. You've got to apply, then go apply maybe somewhere else, or then go call like 4 people at the company to let them know that you have applied. Because when you have a great tool like Hitmarker that's so accessible, that sometimes can be like the downfall, is that 5,000 people can apply to one role, and it's about standing out. Building a personal brand, I think a lot of people struggle on LinkedIn because they see it as such a professional platform. You got to be suit and tie and tidied up, and I made a point to throw a hat on backwards and to be more relaxed about who I was on there, because I'm kind of just going to be who I'm going to be at this point. And if a brand or a company doesn't want you for who you are, there's probably a good chance you don't want to be working for that company anyway. So I wanted to show my knowledge, and sometimes your knowledge and the way you think of the person that you are can be kind of diminished and consolidated in a 30-minute interview. So when you give a hiring manager an opportunity to see you in a more comfortable setting, like a LinkedIn Live or in an interview or something like that, I think that's just nothing but beneficial to your chances of getting that job. I've had a bunch of other people reach out to me about this, about like, hey, I applied to this job. I'm interested in whether they're interested in somebody like me for this role. They haven't responded to me yet. It's been 2 weeks. I don't want to bother this person. I don't want to annoy this person. And the reality is, you have to. You have to bother that person, but you just have to be appropriate about it. So, whether you need an answer on an email or whether you need an answer on a job, you have to be persistent if you want something. And what I tell a lot of young kids, like coming out of the University of Mississippi, reach out to me and they're like, I don't want to bother this person. I don't want to hit them up every 2 weeks. And I'm like, okay, that's fine, but somebody else is going to. So, you're happy to sit here and lose out on this opportunity or lose out on this job because you don't want to follow up because you think you're bothering somebody. But I promise you, somebody else is bothering that person, and that person's going to get the job. That's kind of the way I like to scare people into this. Like I always say, make somebody tell you make somebody tell you no. Make somebody say like, Herb, please leave me alone. This isn't for you. Like, please go away. And I promise you they never will, right? They'll just say, follow up with me in 3 months. And that's a professional no. But I say to everyone, if you're going to sit back and you're going to wait for jobs, especially now in this market, somebody else is going to want it more, and they're going to get that job, not because they're more qualified than you, because their resume looks better, but because they followed up. Because once you've done that first interview, there's a pretty good chance they've forgotten about you. And how you stay top of mind with your follow-up is everything in the job. The way you reach out to somebody for a job that's similar to mine is that's the process. So if you see that the Dallas Fuel is hiring or the Houston Outlaws are hiring, and you're interested in the account manager role that I could have open at some point, your resume is how you reach out to me about that role, right? Like, I quite honestly couldn't, for me personally, when I'm hiring, I couldn't care less about your resume. I don't care where you went to school. I don't care what you studied. I care that we can have a good, honest conversation. Quite honestly, I care if we can go have a beer on Friday night and talk about life. But what I do care about, if you're going to reach out to me and you figured out that I'm the hiring manager, if you send a bad note to me first, you're off my list, because I don't want to train you. I want to train you in life as a professional, but I don't want to train you on your outreach skills. Like, you should have already had some sales training if you're going to reach out to me to do partnerships with me. So because you just need that skill. I've been through sales training myself, and it stinks. So I'm not sitting here saying you can't go get sales training, but I'm certainly not going to do it, because I hated it and I hate doing it. So for me personally, if you're reaching out for somebody that's similar in this role, whether it's FaZe, to whether it's Envy, to whether it's Houston, to whether it's Boston, there's a pretty good chance that the person on the other side of that is judging you on the note that you send. So if you send a 4-page note about why you think you should work with the Outlaws, I just don't care. Like, you should be focused on sending me a short, concise paragraph about who you are, what's important to you, and why I should get on the phone with you.